Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Kamara Daughtry, the creator for LookWeAreIncluded.com, and today I have Gabriel Kerr, a producer for Rockin' Roberts Production Company for Robin Roberts. Gabriel, can you please tell me how are you doing? We know that you are based in New York City, so how are things going right now?
Yeah, well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me today. And New York has, it bounces back. It's definitely been a rough, tough time. So many people have, either been affected from it personally or even just adjusting to the new normal, so to speak, and the endless virtual Zoom calls and meetings, how everything, all business and life is conducted now. So it's definitely different from the city that we both knew, like only what 6 months ago, less than 6 months ago.
Right.
But I'm doing well. I'm hanging in there, and hopeful for the future, and that we'll make
Yeah,
it out of this.
I know. I know what you mean by hopeful for the future. Just a couple months ago, we were in the subway station. We were in the trains and bundled up together, everybody trying to get home, trying to get to the destination. Now we would never do that. We would never do that again. We would never be packed in like sardines trying to get to the queue.
No, exactly, exactly.
That just wouldn't happen. You are a producer. For our younger journalists, a producer can mean a lot of things. A producer can mean that you stack a show for a newscast. A producer can mean that you are making sure that the vision for anything out there in the field or on a shoot is going properly. But when we talk about a producer for what you do, can you give people a little bit of background?
Sure, sure. So, I started like in production for TV series, like as a Emma Bowen Foundation alum. Shout out to Emma Bowen Foundation.
Yes.
I had an internship for 4 years every summer with a production company that produced American soap operas. So as a PA, I kind of saw what that kind of world was and what the producers there did.
Right.
Um, it's different in every way, as you said, like being a producer can be many different things. For me, what I do now is I'm still a television digital producer. So therefore, it's about telling the story and it's about creating content. But I work on it from the beginning of production.
Right.
Let me stop. I work on it from the development of an idea
Right.
to getting the idea, like, all right, to market, so to speak, in which you have interest from a network or a sponsor or just anywhere that's interested in the kind of story, the kind of um, project you bringing to the table and will want to greenlight it and will want to be like, okay, we can see this, let's do this. And then from there, it goes into production, which means I know how to shoot, I know how to edit,
Right.
and that allows me to go into the field, conduct interviews, bring all the media back, review it, and then from
Hmm.
there, I'm crafting like a script. So it's a mix of documentary and news
Right.
and a lot of things that special to me because it's always been about hearing of everyone's story and telling it in a creative and unique way.
That's
And
right.
for me, being I'm very visual, TV and film has always been in theater has always been a center for where I viewed myself being and also sharing stories and my skills.
That is right. You talked about yourself being a visual storyteller. It is important, as a journalist. Your role just doesn't stop at a news station, it doesn't just stop at reporting the facts. You also have to craft a story for people to understand it. And Gabriel, as a producer for Rockin' Roberts production, how did that come into play? That doesn't happen overnight. A lot of people will say, hey, oh my goodness, I can do that. But everybody cannot. But how did you develop the skills to be able to, attain that job? Because that's a very important job.
Yeah, it is. Um, it's hard work, that's for sure, and it's about showing up. It's about making sure that any task along the way you do it to the best caliber you can. And like some people can will say they're a perfectionist. Like I don't necessarily feel that I'm a perfectionist, but I certainly will make sure that the end product is the very best that it could be, and that goes to any role I've had. So like, of course, I started out as an intern for 4 years, and
Right.
by the time I graduated college, I got a full-time PA job for about a year or two. And as opportunities arise, you just either, what I learned early is that you don't wait for them to come to you, you go and get it. So
That's
you
right.
know, as people would either leave, or you hear about, there might be expanding this department, or doing this. Like I started a social media for one of my first jobs. They didn't do that. They didn't do any kind of social media, and I was one of the first ones doing it. And it's about finding out what skills you have that they might need or don't even know they need. That's the other thing. It's
Right.
like you might
Right.
not even know that this candidate, this person can what they can bring to the table. So it's about speaking up. It's about showing up. And for me, what's been really good is building relationships. Like
Yeah.
for the 12 years now, I can say I've been in television and in uh, the kind of space where what I'm focusing on is creating and telling stories. You keep in contact with people. You keep in contact with people who you work with, people who have mentored you, because that's very important. Because when you're a young journalist and you're coming out of college, or you're just trying to figure out where to start, some of the best advice I've gotten is from people who I could look up to, people who have done it, or people who even are like, well, I can see you try this out. Like, and even if you try something out and you don't like it, be willing to try something out, because that,
Right.
for me, informed me of what I didn't want. Like, I knew
That is
the
very
path
true.
I didn't want, you know?
Yeah, Gabriel, you said something initiative. A lot of the times we see something in terms of, okay, I have this internship. I just started off at my first job, and these are the tasks and the duties that it outlines in my job description. But it's so much more than that. It is so much more than just marking off and or just checking off things off of a list. Think outside of the box,
Hmm.
because even as we are in our 20s, they call this the early years. We have so much vision. At any age you have so much vision, but it's important to, like you said, do well at the job you are at, even if you hate it. Do well even if you hate it. Do well at the editing. Do well at the small tasks, because then when you get big tasks, you'll be able to handle the responsibility. And you also talked about film school. When it comes to storytelling, do you think that your film degree or the classes that you went to in college, they help prepare you for working with Robin Roberts?
Yeah, I'll certainly say it helped in the sense of, like, the arc of a story, right? And you can craft together a full story. Now, while I went and got my BAs in film studies from Columbia University, I didn't go to like journalism school. So my connection towards news is just, one, from always being curious, I would say, and two, just wanting to stay informed and
Right.
knowledgeable on everything at hand. So, when I started at ABC, I worked at the talk show The View, and that experience really allowed me to learn the things I liked about it, the things I didn't like about, like, TV role and production. And I always wanted to be able to craft stories. So the jump to do more like long form is, what they kind of consider it, because it's not just short pieces. What I do is like longer topics, or a special on one particular thing that's going to be an hour long, or a series that's multiple pieces. So
Right.
it's you have more time to craft these things. And when you're working in like a talk show or daily news environment, you don't always get the luxury to do that, because it's very much, and it's very much about what the news of the day is and
Right.
getting it out there.
And
So
it's more of hard news as well. You can't
yeah,
go into more people focused stories. And Gabriel, as how are you able to use your creative license? What kind of shoots are you doing? How are you able to take these ideas and really turn them into stories that people can see? How does that process work for you and your team?
yeah. Well, I think the perfect example that I can share is, there's a digital series that is now we're started. third season on. It's in pre-production. Um, it's called Thriver Thursday, and it's a digital series that spotlights people who have gone through various kinds of adversity in their lives and turns the table in the sense that like you're learning about their story and their lowest point,
Right.
um, but how they chose to thrive in life. Like this has affected me and it brought me really far down, but I'm not going to stay at this place, and I'm going to come back better than ever and help other people come back and be better than ever. So that series is something like my team and I were really proud of. I'm a supervising producer in that series, and it's champions for anyone who's going through something and wants just a dosage of inspiration and to be seen. Because
Right.
that's the other thing.
Right.
Because a lot of people, when you go through stuff, I might be the only one going through it, or I don't know who to reach out to. I don't know this, I don't know that. But just a little dose of hearing someone else's story and seeing that, like, oh, they walked this path, maybe I can do it too. That helps,
Right.
start a whole conversation. And what we've seen
Yeah.
from that series, and talk about creativity, like we kind of built this from the ground up, and like the look, the feel, like everything we wanted to do when we spotlight each individual. So you can check it out at thriverthursday.com.
We
And
sure will.
we
If you could tell your younger self one thing, would you tell? Would you say? What would you say to Gabriel 5 years ago? Say, hey, look, to be too hard on yourself, or hey, look, go in this direction. What would you say?
How old am I telling? What age am I telling myself this? Just
You're 22.
so I'm a 22-year-old telling me about where I am now. Okay. The first thing is probably you'll be okay. Believe it's gonna be you'll be okay and believe in yourself. But I think I would just I would tell myself to continue to learn. Like being a lifelong learner is how we all grow and expand. Like I'm not the same way I was at 22. Some might say that's good, some might say that's bad. I don't know, but there's definitely less parties in my life now. But at the same time, you, I was that 22-year-old and I grew from that. And that 22-year-old needed the experiences he had to get to where he is now. So while I wouldn't shy away and say like, oh, I would do these things over with age, I guess, and more experience, you things become easier in a way. Like the repetition of things become easier. So your brain doesn't have to work on that. So find ways to make your brain work in a different way. And that's, in my opinion, through just always learning and trying to get new skills and learning about sides that you might not have known you had an interest in, or as we were saying earlier, it might just prepare you for the next thing. Like there's many facets to this business, and
Yes,
you can start as a journalist, you can start in journalism, but then you might realize I want to build up my entire brand, and then that means you have to have business skills, you have to have PR skills, you have to have all these marketing, all these various things that can all combine and, fulfill you in a way.
right, right. That is a good point. Gabriel, we want to say thank you on behalf of LookWeAreIncluded.com because we are so excited that you decided to share your story with us. You are going to help so many people. We cannot wait to feature you in more. Cannot
Thank
wait.
you. Thank you. Anytime. Anytime you need me.
No problem. We'll see you later. Bye
All right.
bye.
Take care. Bye.